So GTA 6's launch date, when is it and what should we expect? So in this video, I'm going to go through the timeline of the past 6 months of all the information we've heard about when GTA 6 is coming out, and of course round up some information that we've had from the earnings call that happened just a couple of days ago. Now it's important we cover the whole timeline because there's been a lot of different changes and there's reasons to believe that GTA 6 may actually come out in 2026. So in the earnings call that came out in November last year, Take-Two Interactive threw a fiscal 25 prediction out there that they would make around $8 billion. Now at the time they were making about $5 billion a year, so to go from 5.1 billion up to 8 billion could only really mean one absolutely monumental release. Now in the next earnings call in February, they didn't actually mention their fiscal 25 turnover predictions until the end of the earnings call. During the end of the earnings call, investors can ask questions, and these are usually companies like BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase, and other large investment firms. And one of the questions they were asked back in February was what the expected turnover figures would be for fiscal 25. And when asked this, Take-Two Interactive implied that it's looking to be somewhere on track for around $7 billion, which is $1 billion less than they said in November, but it's still $2 billion more than their annual turnover. Now we know in the first month or two of GTA 6 coming out, potentially even the first couple of weeks, those extra $2 billion wouldn't really be a massive stretch for it to make. So as of February, we were all under the impression that it would probably be an early 2025 release based on those figures. Now between March and April, Kotaku dropped an article about Rockstar Games having staffing issues with return to work mandate, and a lot of staff overall just being somewhat unhappy with the situation they've been put in. Now at the time this mentioned that there could be potential delays for the game, and there's a few other topics discussed in there. However, Jason Schreier amongst other people came out and said that Kotaku article is definitely not worth listening to, just because there were a lot of other inaccuracies in there, especially when Kotaku were speaking on behalf of the employees of Rockstar. So at the time, the prediction was that Rockstar Games were on track for an early 2025 release, and Jason Schreier confirmed this for a Bloomberg article he wrote back in March. Now this brings us to the earnings call that we've just had. Now the earnings call we've just had is very important, because in this earnings call, obviously they're wrapping up fiscal 24, but they're legally obligated to give, within the best of their knowledge, accurate predictions for what to be expected for fiscal 2025. Now the reason why this is different from the previous earnings calls, because the previous earnings calls they were able to make a prediction and it can be an offhand comment based on information they have, whereas the one that they make in May is, I wouldn't say legally binding, but if they were to say, for example, GTA 6 was to come out before March next year, putting it into those fiscal 25 turnovers, and they actually had information on the contrary, them saying that is them committing securities fraud. So this earnings call that they've just had is actually way more hung up on legally binding terms. So obviously during this earnings call, we all heard the big news that GTA 6 is expected to fall around fall 2025, which puts it into fiscal 26. Now, as soon as everyone's heard this, the next big question I've had, I know that it's been a lot of my DMs and a lot of other my YouTuber friends' DMs, what does this mean for pre-orders? Well, there's two sorts of pre-orders. There's pre-orders for the game, which you basically just get the game when the game comes out, or there's collector's packs. So there are things like you pre-order the game, you get a t-shirt, you pre-order the game, you get a poster, whatever it might be, whatever they decide to do for their collector's editions. Now the reason why I'm separating these two sorts of pre-orders out is because they actually hold different weight. So for example, if Rockstar did a pre-order for the game and people pre-ordered the game, and say if that pre-order went live in December of this year, it wouldn't actually be included in their fiscal 25 figures, because until the game comes out and goods have exchanged hands for that money technically doesn't exist in the pockets of Take-Two Interactive, and they can't include it in their turnover reports. However, if they decide maybe November, December this year, hypothetically, we have no reason to believe it would be November, December, it's just a hypothetical. If they decide to do a pre-order in that period and decided to do the collector's packs where you physically get an item in exchange for that money, then those figures would be included in the fiscal 25 turnover figures. Now the fiscal 25 predictions are around 500 million more than their current turnover. However, they do have some big releases in the pipeline at the moment, which could for all intents and purposes count towards that 500 million. It doesn't look like any of that 500 million, the additional 500 million should I say, is coming from Rockstar Games. So based on the information we have at the moment, I don't believe we're going to be receiving pre-orders with collector's packs between now and March next year. I don't see that as being a likelihood. However, it is still possible. However, pre-orders for the game itself may potentially be a likelihood. Now, of course, of all of this being said, there is actually a likelihood that GTA 6 could be pushed back to 2026. With the current window expecting to be fall of 2025, That's only a few months off 2026, so we will just have to play all of this by ear and hope for the best. Now, before we talk about GT Online and all the comments that Take-Two Interactive have made about that, if you could just take a second to tap that subscribe button, it's massively appreciated. Now, this brings us on to the comments that Take-Two Interactive made about GT Online. They've predicted over the next 12 months that their revenue for GT Online will decrease, and over the past 12 months they've actually released around the same amount of updates for GT Online as they did the previous 12 months. So it looks like, based on what they're saying of the figures for GT Online decreasing, they're probably going to start slowing down the rate in which they do GT Online updates. I did mention this in my last video, and a lot of people were very unhappy about it. Unfortunately, I'm just reporting on what was said during the call. I would recommend everyone to go and listen to the call, which is available on Take-Two Interactive's website. But by the looks of things, they are slowing down the pace with GT Online. Now, I personally believe that we're going to get one big final update that maybe has some main story characters in it. But to be honest, we are just speculating here, so let's just not go too far down that rabbit hole in this video. Now, there's a lot of other things said, and a lot of the conversation around GTA 6 was very limited. Myself and a few of the YouTubers have expressed on Twitter that we were very confused the fact that a release window was given via the earnings call, not by Rockstar themselves, which is very bizarre, and this is actually the first time that news has directly come out from Take-Two, not Rockstar, in regards to one of their games. Very bizarre, not sure what's going on. Maybe there was another bit of information ready, but maybe there just wasn't anything substantial worth posting for Rockstar. I don't know, but extremely bizarre that this came from Take-Two Interactive, not Rockstar Games. Another thing to mention as well is that with Rockstar Games, a lot of the community have said that we're all just expecting something when nothing's going to come. Well, Rockstar Games are looking at what the community's doing, and I've always been one of those people that didn't think that Rockstar really listened to the community or what we want or what we do, but it's very clear they do. A prime example of this is the other day when we saw that there was 4 blanks on their website for GTA 6 screenshots, and then Rockstar, which by the way they usually only post 1 or 2 posts in a slide along thing on their social media, they decided to put 4 posts up on Instagram. It was clearly a nod to the community that there are 4 screenshots, but they're not the 4 screenshots we all wanted. So it was very playful, and it was either the thing on their website was planted to get everyone talking, or they made a mistake and they were just trying to play off it quite lightly. So yeah, Rockstar do listen to the community, and I do think that we probably will get some information or something within the next 6 months. I'm hoping within the next month or 2, but we'll just have to wait it out and see what happens. Now, the final thing I want to say in this video is you may hear that it's a little bit echoey and I sound a little bit different. I just moved house. I moved into the house yesterday, so I'm still kind of fitting out my office area and getting the setup all ready. I will be doing some proper videos in the next couple of days, and of course I've got some big announcements to make as well. I'm just getting all of that ready. But thank you all for being patient with me with having slow uploads over the past few days. I still don't have internet at this house, so that's getting fitted on Wednesday. So yeah, it's all a bit of a mess at the moment, but thank you all for being patient with me. I'll be back on my A game in the next couple of days. I've also been getting a ton of questions about my setup, what equipment I use, how I live stream, all of this. So many different questions across all my different forms of social media. I have answered a lot of these on Discord if you want to join the Discord down below, but I will be doing a full video which is everything in my setup, what camera, what lens, everything I use. It won't be a video that a lot of you want to watch, but for the people that do want to watch it, you might find it a little bit interesting. Hopefully you do, maybe not, I don't know. But that video will be coming out in the next couple of days. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.